Welcome to White Label American Podcast. This is a podcast that brings you bold, in-depth interviews with interesting people that are mostly immigrants taking down artificial walls one story at a time. This is a podcast that empowers immigrants to share their stories and listen to those of others. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to another episode of White Label American. Thank you all for joining us today. And before we begin, if you've been enjoying this podcast, you've been having a great time with us, and you haven't given us 5 stars, it's almost the end of the year. You're on the naughty list. Are you sure you want presents? Go give us 5 stars. Do the right thing. And if you even are serious about receiving gifts from you-know-who, and you want to get off the naughty list, join Patreon. Support the podcast. Buy merch and tell your friends. What are you doing? What are you doing? Be nice. Get off the naughty list. You want me to send my kid after you? No, my kid doesn't like naughty people. She's writing names now. She's taking names. So don't do that to yourself. You don't want a 5-year-old coming and staring at you, giving you the mean looks. So get off the naughty list. Do the right thing. Show love. Tell your friends, neighbors, loved ones. If you have a secret family, tell them too. We don't judge. All right, let's get to meet today's guest. I have the honor of having the founder of Nodegree.com and the Nodegree podcast, which I highly recommend you listen to. I've been checking out some of the episodes, and I've been having a great time listening. Seriously, it's it's like mind blowing. The little things that you listen to, and I'm like, you know what? I'll take some questions from there. After today's episode, like I'm gonna hit him with some of the questions, but it's worth your time. It's a good journey to take when you are navigating life. Even if you have a job, even if you have you are where you're comfortable, you think you've made it, or you think you are where you need to be, I still recommend this podcast because what our guest today is doing is highly recommended. He's a certified career coach and has worked with over 500 candidates, many of whom have gotten jobs and interviews at places like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Spotify, Tesla, amongst many other top companies out there. So without much delay, let's meet Jonaed Iqbal. Welcome to the show. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing well. It's always amazing to do podcasts in persons because I'm so used to the virtual. So whenever I see a nice studio, I'm excited. I'm ready for the conversation.
Hey, that's why I try to bring as many people as possible in to have it as in person so we can see each other face to face and have a great conversation in New York because people, we have this reputation like New Yorkers don't like to hang out in person. I'm like, that's not true. We love hanging out in person. It's great, and especially on a day like this, right after the marathon. Why not?
Yep, definitely.
So how's your day going?
Yeah, it's going well. It's going well. Usually I'm not up this early. Well, I'm up now,
Yeah.
but I'm not up in the studio somewhere this
Exactly.
early. I'm a night owl, but I went to Toronto over the weekend for some networking events.
Nice.
Saw some family, saw some friends, and now I'm back in the city, ready to grind.
Hey, I'm glad that you could be here, and I'm honored that you chose to spend to break your cycle to come hang out with us here. So let's, but before I dive into your origins, and who you are, it's still part of who you are. Can you give us a brief insight into Nodegree.com, what it's about, and why you started it?
Yeah. So 9 years ago, I was on Reddit. Someone asked, for those of you without a college degree who make over 6 figures, what do you do and how'd you get the job? People are saying, I'm a claims adjuster. I'm an audio engineer. I'm a recruiter, elevator repair, surveyor, all these jobs. And it was, how'd you get the job? My uncle, my cousin, my friend, my high school classmate.
Mm-hmm.
It was all right place, right time. Like, think about it. Who grows up and says, hey, I want to be a claims adjuster
Exactly.
or I want to be a surveyor? And then I was like, there are so many people who are very hardworking who don't have college degrees, right? Especially as an immigrant, you see them all the time, but they don't know about these careers,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's two issues. They don't know that these careers exist. And then even if they know they exist, they don't have a pathway. They don't have a structure on how they can get these careers. So I went online, I searched up trades.com. It was for sale, but that's like a multi-million-dollar domain.
Yeah.
I typed in nodegree.com. It was an inquiry form. I filled it out. Then I got an email a couple days later. I missed it or ignored it. And I got another email saying, hey, we're willing to sell you the site. I think it was like $1,800 around there. We negotiated. We got it for like $1,433 or $1,500, something like that. And my goal was, why can't I be that uncle, cousin, or friend that helps you and teaches you about these careers?
Mm.
And I was like, I'm going to get rich off this blog. And then just a couple years, just doing a lot of research, deep research into these careers. And that's the mission, just to really help people without college degrees, just learn about the careers that are out there and then understand the pathways to get there. Now, I'm not one of those like, hey, drop out, make six figures.
Yeah.
It takes time. It takes work. It's not, and your first job is not going to be six figures.
Mm-hmm.
But I do show the pathways and realistic pathways that you can get there.
Wow. I really like that because, being immigrants, it's always, we have the five automatic carriers.
Doctor, lawyer, engineer,
banker.
Yeah.
Lawyer. Ah, man. And it's like once there's something outside of that, it's like, nah, are you crazy?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? And it's like you're not allowed to dream. You're not allowed to see a vision or envision something for yourself or have a passion.
Yeah.
It has to be one of those five. All in the name of job security, having secure vision, or living the dream, and like whose dream, and so that's why it's important to have people like you doing what you're doing, because I'm so glad that you found that Reddit, because I've never done Reddit other than somebody sending me some funny videos and all that. I never caught the Reddit train, so I never had an account or jumped on that site. But it's one of the great things that I appreciate when I hear, about people like you, because I've been to networking events and there were times when I missed some opportunities because I never understood what was happening.
Yeah.
And like that thread you found said, it's an uncle, it's a friend, it's all this. But I saw it back in Nigeria where I was, and people were, it's called testimony.
Yeah.
People in church giving testimony, saying, I went for a job interview. They said there was only 50 openings, and there were thousands of people that showed up for this job interview. And the guy was like, I know for a fact that I'm not getting this job. And he's leaving the job. He showed up for the screening. They did the interviews and all that. And he knows he's not getting the job. But on his way out, he runs into a classmate in high school who, that person was being bullied back in the days, but he stood up for the person back then. I guess he had a bigger build. And the person remembered him. Lo and behold, at that moment, the person is the son of one of the ministers, government ministers, and so he's somebody of influence. And he shows up in an official government vehicle. So while everybody is in line, he just walks straight into the building, and it's like they stamp his name. So the person's like, hey, what are you doing here, man? I remember you. He doesn't even remember the person.
Yeah.
He's like, I remember you. You were nice to me back then. What are you doing here? So I'm here for the job. Oh, really? Come with me. And takes him back inside. That's how he gets a job. But he credits it to God.
Yeah.
To a higher power. But that's networking. That was someone I know, a friend, gave you the job. So we in church and everybody's like, praise the Lord. Hallelujah. But that is someone I know just gave you the job.
Yeah.
And everybody missed the point.
Yeah.
So this thing happened. I was a teenager when I heard that, but as a teenager, you don't really understand stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's been there all these years, and I will go through life. And by the time somebody is telling me, "Hey, man, send me, message me tomorrow. I might have something," I'm like, I don't know you. Well, whatever. There were times when I missed opportunities like that, and I was like, "Oh, the world's against me. Yeah, it might be because of this or that." But I didn't understand what was happening.
Yeah.
That so they don't have to say it out loud like, "I will give you the job." It's just we're in a large public space. I can't just say everything out loud. Just, hey, hit me up. I remember you. We were certain things. You man, you stood for me. I got to pay you back. What you need right now, we hear people here for jobs. I can't say I'll give you the job because there are 10 people here all in need of that job. Hit me up tomorrow at this time. Don't fail. But everybody here for job. We're going to hit me up tomorrow. I'm not going to do that. And I missed that once or twice. But years later, I realized that person was actually, he laid it down for me.
Yeah.
Hook you up. And so now I get it. I understand how the networking works. I understand setting opportunities. And I get it now. So it's the people who I've helped, who I'm like, hey, back then I didn't understand how the game works, but I understand now, and I'm not really interested in some of these opportunities anymore. But there's somebody who's more interested, who needs that. If you could lay up for that person, I'll be grateful. There you go. And so it's very important, very, very important that people understand that message. And we're not saying it's only for, like even whatever field you're in. I tell my nieces and nephew the same thing. My nephew just got a job back home in Nigeria, and he was surprised. He just graduated and he thought, it's I got this, whatever he scored in his university, his grades were and all that. I said, that's all good and nice, but it don't mean anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't, because there's somebody who's powerful in the family. All you got to do is show up. Just show up to the house.
Yeah.
And say, this is what I need. Okay. That's what they say. Okay. You ready? When are you ready? He starts stuttering. Then he was surprised. I said, just show up to that person's house. Tell the person, I need a job. And he thought I was kidding. And the person said, are you ready to start tomorrow? He's like, well, it's that easy. Yeah. And I have somebody who's been looking for a job for 5 years, still refuses to go to that person. It's just ego. And I'm like, you got to swallow that pride, man.
Yeah.
Just go get that job. After that, settle whatever, bring the beef back, but get that pay first. After that, bring it back. So, yeah. So I'm really grateful to have people like you bringing down that artificial wall, because that's why this podcast exists. We use knowledge to bring the artificial walls. So we'll come back to what you're doing.
Yeah.
We got to promote you more, and you tell us more about how you now developed a podcast, because you also have your job and you also have a podcast. But we need to start with the very origin of Jonaed.
Yeah.
So you have two beautiful names, and I believe it might be more than two. But let's start at the very origin, the very beginning. What are the meaning of your names, and is there a story behind how you came to have those names?
Yeah. So the first name, Jonaed, it's an interesting name because in like Arabic it's like Junaid. In
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, that's the more common version. In my mom calls me Jonaed. So my spelling, even though other people have the name, my spelling is very unique. It's like one of those, our parents can't spell. So they're filling out the passport form. They did it that way. So my dad, typical Bengali, right? He's born in the mid-50s. And he worked in Saudi Arabia for a couple of years. And he met someone with that name and he loved it. And so that's how I got the name. And Jonaed means God's warrior. Last name, I don't know what it means. I should look it up. I know the first name.
And your last name, I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen that a few times. I can't recall if it was someone. I don't know, but I've seen your last name a few times. I can't remember when or where.
Yeah, it's a it's like a Pakistani last name.
Mm-hmm.
My family's interesting in that my dad has a different last name from all his siblings, and same thing with the other ones. I don't know. I don't even know how they chose the names. Right?
Okay.
It's just everyone has different.
So we got to bring you back after you find that out.
Yeah.
There's something there. There's a story there.
There's definitely a story there.
Yeah. Yeah. So Jonaed means God's warrior.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a version of you in another universe who might be up to something.
Yeah. Most likely.
So can you introduce the audience to your place of birth and what childhood was like for you?
Yeah. So I was born in Bangladesh. I don't remember much because I moved here when I was 3 years old, but I have a lot of stories.
Okay. And where in Bangladesh?
I was born in Dhaka.
Okay,
the capital.
The capital.
Yeah. So
because Bangladesh is quite a big country.
Big and crowded.
Yeah.
Very crowded. So if you see pictures of me when I was young, I don't know, I was like the neighborhood kid. I used to be chilling and all that stuff. Just hanging around. And then what I used to do is I used to wake up. It was a 4-story.
Mm-hmm.
We lived on the second floor. My cousins lived on the first floor. So I'd wake up and I just walk downstairs and I'd spend the whole day kind of there.
That's the best, man.
Yeah. Or I used to go to different houses and I was like that social kid just having fun. My cousins were saying they almost lost me when I was young because they're playing outside and then they see me. I must have been 2 or 3. And I'm like standing on the ledge on the roof of the building, and I'm like, hi, watching them play. So then they're like, wait, they don't want to be like, surprise me. And they're like, yo, he's going to jump off. And then I think they told their dad and they told my mom. And then as they were like watching me, my mom comes up behind me and then grabbed me. But she walked up slow, not to surprise me. So I had fun, man. I was always like a very social type kid when I was young. There was a time I got a little shy, but I once I got comfortable, I was just that type of kid. And yeah, when I came here when I was 3 years old, I learned English by watching cartoons.
Wow, that's the best, man.
Yeah, so just watching cartoons.
That's the best.
We lived in a house not too far from the house that I currently live in.
Oh.
And then I just used to always go to different parties, like the immigrant party, different houses. And, that was like the early years.
Nice. So, yeah, I think most of us have that phase, right? We always, I think maybe that 80s into 90s, I think all of us have a story of getting lost.
Yeah.
Almost our family almost losing us.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how reactive my kid almost got lost. Though.
Yeah.
It's different now. But well, I've had an incident where my kid walked out of the house. That was almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
She just wanted to play, and I was over a year ago, and I was moving into our current place, which was just almost 2 blocks away from our previous place. But it was about to start raining. It was just light showers, so I was taking out the smaller stuff from our previous place to our current place. So I was using a cart, and I saw her watching TV. When I left, she was in the living room, and I just loaded stuff on the cart and rolled it. That's the last time I saw her. And when I was leaving the current place, my wife calls me and she's like, "Is the kid with you?" I was like, "Why would she be with me? It's raining. It's light showers." And she's like, "She's not in the house." And I was like, well, maybe she's hiding under the couch, because she had started doing that like literally that week. Sometimes she'd just be under the couch. I'm like, "Why are you under the couch?" She's like watching TV, but she'll just be under the couch. It just was her head under the couch. So I was like, "Oh, okay." And I starts panicking. And I just didn't panic, but I was like, maybe, okay. But I know I shut the door, and I'm pretty sure she hasn't figured out how to open the door. So did she figure out how to open the door and just go upstairs to our neighbor's apartment upstairs? Because she likes their grandmother and she's cool with the kid upstairs. So I said, "Go check upstairs." My wife calls me, "She's not upstairs. Oh my God. Oh my God." And I was like, "Wait, is her rain boots in the house? Like, no. I was like, okay. That kid is smart. She decided to put on her rain boots because she looked outside. Oh, it's raining. Put on her rain boots. So I'm like, oh, check our next door neighbor. And she checks. She's not there. So my next door neighbor, he's Nigerian from my part of Nigeria. And he's out there freaking out. I'm like, oh, he had a stroke like almost a year ago. So I don't want you freaking out now.
Yeah.
I'm actually freaking out for you. And my wife starts running to the playground and sees a good Samaritan, sees my kid at the playground, and there's no other kid there. So she doesn't even have an umbrella or raincoat, but she takes off her jacket and covers my kid. Because when my kid is there playing, having fun. So she waited at the red light for the light to turn green and crossed. My wife had freaked out, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, yeah, so they both turn into a cry fest when they see each other because she sees her mom crying, so she starts crying. So I was like, wow, you just said I got to go play today. That's it. I'm not waiting for anybody. And she just walked out of the house. So that's so I guess the generational. I'll take that as how. Yeah, that's the scary thing. But for mine, it was the one I was told about that I did was we were visiting either our village or one of the villages, and I was 2 or 3, and they said I disappeared, and family started freaking out, and then somebody came to the family while they were looking for me. Said there's one strange kid. He looks like a city kid, but he's by the river. Just I'm telling everybody, oh, there's fishes in the river. Do you know? There's fishes. You see fishes in the river? There's fishes. The river has fishes. Because I'm always drawn to water bodies, and I loved water bodies. So I'm just trying to tell the villagers because they live there. So that's how I know I'm a city kid.
That's funny.
Fishes in the river. Do you know that?
I love it.
So that's how they found me. Why people be freaking out, looking everywhere, wondering if I've been kidnapped or something, even though it wasn't. It was rare to have a kidnapping back then. They discovered a kid, and I had a big afro back then as a baby. And they just discovered me standing by the river, pointing to the water. Fishes, river, fishes, river. And, oh, yeah, come on, we're looking for you.
Love it, love it.
So I wasn't on top of a building, but yeah, I was down by the river. Hi, everyone. If you're new to the podcast or a returning listener and you enjoy what we are doing here, did you know that you could enjoy more of our content and also support our work via Patreon? For as little as $3 per month, you get access to loads of bonus content that you'll find nowhere and be the first to the latest news. Don't miss out. Go to patreon.com/White Label American Pod or just search for White Label American Podcast on Patreon. Patreon. So when you arrived in America, straight to New York, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
My dad was here before.
Okay.
Because what happened was my dad was here, so I didn't see him when I was born.
Oh.
Came back when I was maybe 6 months to a year, whatever. Came back. We lived there for a few years before he came back again. So my dad was the taxi driver, butcher shop, all those jobs that typically 90s immigrants did. And yeah, it was New York.
New York. Okay, cool. So what do you consider your favorite childhood memory to be at this moment?
It's definitely just hanging out with friends. It's still my favorite thing to do today, where you just hang out, you just chill, you just talk. I was always like a people person, and I loved it. Like, just going to your friend's house with your family, and then you're playing, you're talking, and you're catching out, and then you eat good food. That was always the best.
So what was that limited to only Bangladeshi kids when you were a child?
Yeah, because my dad's friends were Bengali. And that was a different time because now you go and it's Bengalis everywhere.
Yeah.
Before we were like, there were only like 2 to 4 Bengali families because we came in 94. So it was like my dad, he told me like one of the people he met, he's like, oh, you're Bengali, I'm Bengali, let's become friends. Now it's like, okay, there's so many, and it's like little Bangladesh where I live.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah. Now it's you got everybody too. So I think someone else on the Father's Day episode of the podcast, Curry was here, and our mutual friend, and Curry was talking about how the kids have access to diversity, and you see it in the Friends where it's like kids just got everybody. It's like the New York experience. It's because before it's like the kids have to become adults or go to college before they start getting access to other people from other communities. But now it's like as a childhood, they already got friends who's like my friend is Jewish, my friend is Muslim, my friend is everything Hindu. My friend, you just like whoa, like I'm your dad doesn't have friends from those communities.
Yeah,
kid already got them.
No, that's the beauty of New York City. You just have friends from all different types of backgrounds and cultures, and I think it's important just so you know that, like, how different people are, but at the end of the day, we're the same. We're just trying to make it, have fun, take care of our communities.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that because it's better for the kids to grow up without a lot of the baggage that a lot of us have.
Yeah.
I don't intend to transfer that to my kid.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, what was going to school like for you? Because you did most of your schooling here. So, what was the school experience like for you?
Obviously, first year I was in ESL. I got out after a year. It was good. It was cool. I had good friends. One of my business partners today, he was in my second grade class. So I have friends from like still keep in touch with second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. I have elementary school friends. I was a good student. I think I was an okay student the first 2 years, but once I understood English and all that, I was like one of the top students in the class. It was like me and this other kid who I'm still friends with. In like second grade, who read the most books, kind of thing. And yeah, it was just, I was like an active kid. I like playing outside and all that. We used to play like baseball in the street, ride our bikes. Middle school, again, I was a pretty good student. And then high school, I went to like a specialized high school. I went to Bronx Science. That was tough. I mean, I still did well, but it was definitely tough. But school, I was always a good student, funny enough. So people are like, oh, why'd you start Nodegree?
No. It don't matter. But I get why people ask questions like that. But for me, that's great. But one thing that caught my attention, you said baseball. And I'm like, dun, the alarm bells went off. I'm like, isn't that a disappointment to the ancestors?
Look, I didn't play for too long, so it's not too much of a disappointment.
Because the ancestors must have been waiting to hear. You know what they must have been waiting to hear?
Cricket.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it was, you know what it was? The landlord lived on the first floor. So his son, I was friends with him. So he liked baseball. So that's why I like baseball. We'd play, and we had like a road where it's a fork in the road. So it formed like the area to play baseball. So we'd play. But then honestly, that was like fifth grade. I wanted to be a baseball player that year when I grew up. And then in sixth grade, we moved. And then I started getting more into basketball.
Oh.
Right? So basketball was the sport. I was decent at it. But
did you catch the Michael Jordan bug? Or?
Yeah. Of course. Man. You would watch. I mean, I was really young.
Who wasn't? Who didn't?
You knew about Michael Jordan. And
I brought a lot of people into basketball, man.
Yeah.
Because I was in Nigeria. I never even knew basketball existed.
Yeah.
And I had Michael Jordan. I was like, who? That's a sport? I didn't even know about Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah.
I ain't care about that one. Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan. And that guy brought the sport up to.
He elevated it because.
Challenge everything.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was a big basketball fan. I would play that. And then did that throughout middle school. Like my summers were just wake up, go to park. And then until the sun comes out, come back. And
Wow.
that's what I used to do in the summer. Just go to a park, just hang out with friends, play basketball. I used to play for hours and hours a day. I did that. That was like 6th grade to like 10th grade. That was the summers. And then my high school formed a wrestling team. And then after that, I stopped playing basketball. It was just all wrestling.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's took over my life. And then, so yeah, now I'm an assistant wrestling coach for high school by me.
Oh, nice.
And so that's kind of, it just changed my outlook, and I stopped playing basketball and I became trash. Like now I'm whack.
I wouldn't have seen wrestling coming, but
Yeah.
okay. So you were never tempted to go the cricket route?
No, I'm not a cricket guy. My dad, I don't think he watches. He watches it, but not like that. My dad was on like the Bangladesh national soccer team.
Oh,
Yeah. But before they were on the national stage, they were like a small country.
yeah,
So
yeah.
his soccer was his thing. And then the thing is, it's like, I do like soccer, but it's like, it's not, especially around then, it's not played like that. There's not like soccer fields and all that stuff. But I do like soccer. But yeah, I wish I could have started wrestling earlier. I didn't know it was a sport. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. It's well, have you ever looked into wrestling in Bangladesh? Like traditionally, do you guys have wrestling?
No. I think there's like little bits and pieces. I mean, here's the big issue with Bangladesh. They just don't encourage sports. And you see this in you see that in Nigeria, Bangladesh. I mean, you may have a little cricket, but again, it's like one of those things. Like when I did it, my father's like, "Oh, why don't you study more? What are you going to do with this in your life? How are you going to use it?" So they don't see the benefits. They're just like, study, right? And like immigrant, all the job is about status and money. It's not even about happiness. They don't even care about your happiness. Yeah. I think even now, like my parents tell me, "Oh, he went to a great school and he quit his job. Why did he do that?" But I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I feel on that. I used to be crazy about soccer.
Yeah.
And I understood family coming at me, but at the same time, it was there were certain things which certain people could have noticed certain things, because when they discouraged me from playing, I started, like, I could sit down and analyze a game and tell you, like, this team could win, this is why they will win, because this is how they played and all this. So I was analyzing from playing styles and doing stuff. So I coached my class team to win our interclass tournament, which was commanding bigger players than myself.
Yeah.
Like, I told all the guys, okay, put your names down, what position you want to play. All right, after school, everybody stay behind. And I wasn't the class prefect, and people listened to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't even understand what I was doing. And I was like, you're going to play this position, you're going to play this position. And we were the class with the smallest, by body size, we were the smallest. And we took on the classes who had bigger players and supposedly better skilled players. And we beat all of them.
Yeah.
Won the final. And the games master was mad at us for beating supposedly better teams, which meant we're going to produce the highest number of players for the school team. And there was like the political play, because I wasn't from the biggest ethnic group, and they tried to fight me, but I still said, look, for the school team, I'm not going to just load it with my class players, because I know obviously better players are not from my class, but I know how to pick the team. And I drafted, and we qualified for the regional tournament. And when it was time to go play the regional tournament, the games master came and was like, pulled seniority over me and brought mercenary to go play, and he lost.
That's what he gets.
He lost the game.
That's
and it was funny, because I was in the stadium watching, and they couldn't even score a goal. And he started putting in my players, but it was too late, because he waited till like 20 minutes to the end of the game. And I was just like, man, this guy, because I knew how to defeat that team, because they brought mercenaries, but they had never played together. So both teams were disjointed. But my team would have they would have been so jailed, and they would have won. And I was just like, man, nobody can see what's happening here. I'm like the guy who's just mapping out everything. Yeah. And I had it good to go, but nobody could see it. And I'm there, but every time I talk family, just, this guy knows football. He knows football. He's so good. Why don't you know your books like that? And then to turn into an insult. Why don't you know your books like that?
I'm like, that's what they always do.
So I'm like, oh man. And then one day I'm doing dishes, And now the sports news comes on, and they're like, the highest paid players in the world right now, it was Del Piero was number one then of Juventus. And he's being paid £90,000 a week. And my other sister's walking back, she just freezes. £90,000 in Naira, how much is that? Don't you used to play soccer? What happened to you? I said, I haven't played for like 5-6 years. Say I should stop playing. If I play, I get flogged, right? So you can go and kick the ball now. It's just a kick ball. All you do is talk. I'm like, because he had £90,000. You think I just go start kicking the ball?
And all of a sudden, no, okay, $90,000.
Someone just come pay me $90,000. Just like that. But I could have taken a course for coaching. Even I had a chance, right after Navy, I could have, that's the same. That now I have that. What's it called? The inferiority complex had built up in me. So, because in the Navy, I coached.
Yeah.
I still coached. And people listen to me. Higher ranked people listen to me. And I was like, nah, I don't. So I disqualify myself. Now I have the opportunity to do it on my own. Because all that stuff had built up over the years. So I just like, I walk away from it, because now family's like, when you go get that degree? So I was like, I'll pursue business.
Yeah. I'll say one thing, and I think sports is really important.
It is.
Because sports is one of the few things you learn communication.
Yes.
You learn strategy.
Exactly.
You learn how to work with others.
Mm-hmm.
You also, like the coaching aspect, even if you don't do that, like you become a soccer coach, that coaching, you could coach in other aspects.
True.
Right? And the other thing is, sports is one of the only things that you can fail without getting truly penalized. Right? You fail a test, you run into you fail other things. But if you fail in sports, it's a learning lesson. Because especially as being in business and in life, you have to know how to fail. You have to know how to bounce back up, because there's so many people, they're like, I got rejected from a job interview. So it's like, okay, go to the next one. What are you going to do? Someone didn't answer my phone call. Okay, how do you recover?
That's right.
And there's so many tangible benefits. And I think it's also important, just the physical fitness, because you see so many people that over time, they don't have that, and it causes issues, right? Like it causes health issues, and they ignore it, right?
Yeah.
I think in the Bengali population, we have a high rate of diabetes, high blood pressure.
I saw that recently.
Yeah, one of the highest.
Juggernaut, and I was surprised.
Yeah, one of the highest. And it's like, okay, you push us to be doctors, but we're all unhealthy. What's the point? So I think
not everybody can be doctors.
Yeah, and not everybody
can be engineers, and not everybody can be a banker. And bankers still need to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Doctors still need to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to take care of themselves at the end of the day. So, because the same thing happened with when the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie came out, and I was watching entertainment news came on, and evening with family, and the movie made 100 and something million opening weekend in Hollywood. The movie is not Spider-Man. Don't you used to read comic? Don't you used to draw Spider-Man? I said, dang, what is going on? You all were beating us for reading. You're like, you're not a child anymore. Why are you reading? Why is it reading children's books? How many people got beat up? I got stories of people who had number one issue Spider-Man. They set it on fire, So we need to move away from this study to the point of somebody can't even, there's somebody I'm going to try and get on the podcast. I met at Comic-Con, because I always go to look for immigrants at Comic-Con and look for people like us with stories. And she was born in Pakistan, I believe. And I saw her, but when I saw her there, I just knew, and I spoke to her, and she was doing her artwork. She studied to be a lawyer, and she wasn't feeling it. And she's now doing her thing, and I bought her artwork, and I was like, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're going to make $1 million right now, but I'm glad you're following your dream.
Definitely.
I'm glad people need to know that you exist, and you can do what you're doing. Because when somebody sees, look at Burna Boy, we like Nigerians talk about what? I'm like, yeah, but when nobody was buying his music, I'm pretty sure there was one family member saying, You could have been a doctor. You could have
Yeah.
been a lawyer, and that's not how you encourage somebody.
No,
That's not how.
I see in the immigrant population, we kill so many dreams,
Uh,
and then it causes issues with the families.
mhm.
And again, you want they come from, hey, we want you to do well, but I
Yeah,
think they should increase and broaden the scope of the definition of well.
true.
That you can do well as doing what you do now. You could do well as different types of businesses, different types of jobs. And I think it's so narrow that it just hurts everyone involved, because now those people who do become doctors, lawyers, they're not passionate. They're miserable. And
Yeah,
then they don't do as good of a job, right? Because I think in my community, it's hard to find a good Bengali doctor because they're just like, oh, okay, done. Next, right? They're just so focused. They don't care about the actual job, right? They don't necessarily care about the people. It's just they go through, and especially those fields, you want people who care and who are passionate about what they do.
hmm So it's something that I was talking to someone the other day, and he's all about African economy. Africa needs to be this. Africa needs to be that. I'm like, I hear you. But what are you doing on Saturday? Oh, I'm going to watch the English Premier League. I said, okay. Your country has a league too, right? Oh, that league doesn't count. Blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, but the English Premier League adds to the GDP of the country of England. So why does your country's league not count? Because if that league is working, it employs people.
Yeah.
So it employs doctors, it employs um, event managers, it employs from even cheerleaders, it employs everybody, to the horticulturist who takes care of the grass and all that. Do you ever thought about that? All that's adding to the GDP. He's like, oh, I'm like, yeah, those are careers.
Yeah.
You don't think of it that way. You only think of another product somewhere else and says that's the only one that should work. But the one in another place, you're saying all these people should be this, but you should only be this in one way because only this is the way that should exist. And you don't think of it in a creative way that don't, there shouldn't be one way to just be a doctor, that you're limited to just working in a general hospital. No, you can. Why can't you be in sports science?
Yeah.
Why can't you be in research?
Yeah. Physical therapist.
Physical therapist, all that kind of stuff. And that's when the person started thinking about it, like, oh, I'm like, yeah, well, maybe now that's food for thought.
Yeah.
And you change the way you say only one should exist instead of 100 existing.
Yeah. So I had a Nigerian Olympian on my podcast, for table tennis.
Oh.
And he was saying he was, number one player in all of Africa, top like
I have to
100.
listen to that episode.
Yeah, top 100 players in the world. And he was saying that the big issue was that there wasn't.
We're crazy about table tennis.
Yeah, but he was saying that there wasn't good support in Nigeria.
Nah, we are crazy about that sport.
Yeah.
But you'll be amazed because, I can tell you off head, any table tennis, I think the only time I found a real table to play on, I was probably, let me see, it was like a year before I left. So that was 2006. Before I left Nigeria, that's when I could afford to play on a professional table. Why would I pay to play on a professional table when I could use that money to entertain myself and a girl?
Yeah.
So no. So until I came to America, that I actually started playing on professional tables because I had more, I could sustain myself more and not go broke.
Yeah.
But back home, especially when I was in Benin City, any surface that we found, we turn it into a table tennis playing table. At one point in time, that was how madly popular the game was, and there was no encouragement.
Yeah, he mentioned, he said I had to go. He said I had to go outside to become better.
Yeah,
he's like, look, I'm the number one player in all of Africa, and I'm not getting support. And I see that in just, in just our immigrant communities. It's just all study, and it's like you need holistic people. You need all types so that we could at least grow as a community, because it causes repercussions when all the knowledge is in one area.
It does. Thank you for saying that, because I try and I try and tell people from the younger ones, I say, I get it when people call for revolutions online. I used to be one of those.
Yeah.
But I had to stop just blindly calling for a revolution and then seeing that you leave a power vacuum.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to feel that power vacuum. And most of the times, it's people who you don't like that will feel it.
Yeah.
Because we've been pushing this type of studying,
Yeah.
and it's just one type of system, studying to one system, and then you leave a whole chunk of uncared for.
Yeah.
You just leave a whole chunk over here, and you only push a small, tiny chunk, and like, oh yeah, we've done it right, and then you now create a vacuum, and then you're now surprised that we're not moving forward.
Yeah, because it's like one of those things. Like, let's say you go in the gym and all you do is work your arms.
Yay.
Your arms get big, but now your legs are small, other parts. And especially in our communities, like people, there aren't too many lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
So now that impacts politics. Right?
Exactly.
There aren't too many in certain areas. So now you have to go outside and you're not developing and you're not learning and it's causing issues, right? Because, doctor, I need to learn how to save my money.
Yeah.
Doctor's not going to help you with that. Hey, I need to buy my first house. A doctor's not going to help you with that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're an engineer. So you need to have bits and pieces so that you have people in your community who have that. And now, thankfully, I've networked a lot. So now it's like, hey, I need something. I know a real estate agent who I trust. I know XYZ who I can trust.
That's right. So we are going to end part 1 of this episode because this is too good. So we're not going to give everybody the whole tea spilling here. We're going to make it a 2-parter. Yeah.
I love it.
Thanks for listening to White Label American. If you enjoyed the show, please give a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. You can follow the show on all social media platforms. Visit the White Label American website for links for donations, episodes, feedback, guests, merch, and newsletter. Don't forget to download the free White Label American app on the Google Play Store and Apple coming soon. Thank you for the privilege of your company.